My name is Charlie Dee Diaz, and I'm a remixer, DJ, and producer.
Can you feel it?
Well, the first beat I ever produced was Jazzy Jeff for Jive Arista Records. The first track I ever worked on was Como Tu Te Llama by Sly Fox, Como Tu Te Llama. And that was the first freestyle record I ever did. There was no such thing as freestyle at the time. Well, freestyle originally was called Latin hip hop. We called it Latin hip hop. Basically, we used the bass from the hip hop drums, which was the 808 from Planet Rock, and we made beats like that. The first record that I really consider freestyle is Shannon, Let the Music Play. And that's the one that made me really start wanting to make beats. My main influence in the 80s was Jelly Bean Benitez. I used to go to the Funhouse every weekend and watch him control the crowd with the music that he was playing. See, Arthur Baker was one of my influences too. He did Planet Rock. And he had back in the 80s, all the records that came out from his label was Streetwise, and it came out from Shakedown Sound. And that really influenced me too. Tina B, all of those records. John Roby influenced me. And Ted Currier, who is my mentor, who I produced with back in the day, he had a sound that made the records big, the drums big. And I watched him, and he let me used to sit in the studio with him. And because it's very hard to sit in the studio and watch somebody actually do work. It's easy to watch a band play, but to sit down and watch an engineer, you gotta have nothing better to do. And that's what I did. Ted Currier used to let me come into the studio when we first started, and I used to sit behind him, and I used to watch engineers like Bob Rosa, Chris Lord-Alge, Jeff Lord-Alge, Steve Pecorello. You know, those guys were really great engineers, and I got to sit and watch them work on the thing and ask them questions and watch them engineer and create the sound. So I took those ideas and I try to do it into my setup now. Try to use all that knowledge from them. But those are the guys who really influenced me to create my sound. How I started in the music business was going to the Funhouse every week. I developed relationships with other people who would go there every week. One of them was a record promoter. His name was DNA. And I met him, and he's a really good guy. And he saw that I was a hustler, and I would travel from the Bronx to go to the Funhouse every week. He saw me there all the time by the DJ booth, inside the DJ booth, hanging out. He saw that I wanted to be behind the scenes, so he offered to let me work with him, and he paid me in subway tokens. Back then, they used to go actually with the records and go around to the radio stations and to the clubs and give the DJs a record, the new record, and they would play it if they liked it, whatever. That's what he did. He introduced me into that. So I started doing that with all the clubs, and then I ended up meeting Mr. Magic. He liked what I was doing as far as DJing and editing, doing my edits. I was working with my partner at that time was Chep Nunez, and may he rest in peace. That was my boy. So I did a couple rap beats, and he liked it. Marley Marl liked it. So when he left to go to BLS, he gave us the show. It was the Diamond 2 show. On that show, it allowed us to meet all the rappers that were coming up, like Curtis Blow was out there, Run DMC, the Beastie Boys. We had a good connection with Rush Productions, which was Russell Simmons, and we used to go over there all the time, and he had an artist called LL Cool J. We met him. He was at the radio station. Our show was at 2 in the morning till 4 in the morning, and he would be there at the beginning of the show, stay for our show, hang out for the Awesome 2 show after us, and then go home. That kid is a hustler, and that's why he's so successful now. And a funny story, about a year later, I was on the road with Sweet Sensation. We were in Jacksonville, Florida. And he had the Mama Said Knock You Out tour. I said to Sweet Sensation, hey, that's cool, LL Cool J's here. Let's go up to his suite and hang out. And they started laughing at me like, you don't know LL Cool J. I said, yes, I do. I know LL Cool J real good. And so we go up there, and we go to his floor. And I think he had the whole floor because the bouncer, his security was at the elevator door. So we go to get off, and he stops me. And he says, where you going? I said, I'm going to see LL Cool J. He goes, no. I said, well, just tell him Charlie D is here, and I'm going to be downstairs by the pool. And if he can, to come downstairs. He said, okay. So all the way down on the elevator ride, the girls are laughing at me, right? They're saying, yeah, you know him, you know him. So we go downstairs with my tail between my legs. I sit down by the pool, and we're sitting down, and I'm at the table, and they're joking on me, ragging on me. And all of a sudden I see the crowd parting, and I see like something coming towards me, and I'm looking, and all of a sudden LL Cool J sits down right there and goes, yo, what's up? And then all the girls like, wow. So we went upstairs and hung out, but that was good because, you know, I felt bad at that time because we got taken down, but when it was really cool that he came back down and told us to come upstairs. Then we went upstairs and hung out in the hotel room with him, hung out, and that was it. It was cool. And what happened now? I tell her to be, come here, Mocha. I'm in the middle of a TV thing. She'll get out in a second. That's okay, don't worry. I think it's very important to have your own sound because if you make what you feel and it's your sound, it comes out much easier. I have a hard time trying to copy somebody else's sound. Like, I'll like somebody's sound. I'll hear it and I'll be, damn, that sounds good. And I'll try my best to make it sound as thumping as what they're doing. And I just do what comes naturally. And what comes naturally is congas and 808 beats. That's all. That's what comes close. As soon as it comes out of me, that's what comes out. Like a waterfall. It comes popping out of me. 808 beats and congas and bongos. My favorite part of the production process is actually finishing the production, because there's so many productions that I start and never finish. But being realistic, my favorite part is the beginning and the creative process. When I sit down here and I come up with have an idea, I'll be anywhere, anywhere, and I'll just come up with an idea. I'll come in here and start laying it down. The first thing is the beat for me. That's my favorite part. Making the track is my favorite part. Actually making it. Not mixing it, just making it is my favorite part. I like having somebody in here and going with it and explaining to get, the work on the timing exactly. Because when somebody sends a vocal, it may not be in perfect time with the track. Their feeling might be off a little bit, and I might not like it like that. So if they're here, we can keep going until that timing's right. And so I would rather have somebody here because you can also write. It depends too. There's some people that can come in and lay down a track 1, 2, 3. There's some people that can write off the cuff like that. Romeo and Boogie Night were like that when we used to do raps in the 80s. When I used to make the beats for them, they come in and write real quick. It was better to vibe with them. But in this modern age, it is easier to do it through email. I would rather record the vocal myself. My advice to any upcoming producers or DJs would be that be prepared to work hard. This is a very hard industry. Now with the inclusion of all the digital techniques that we can use, it makes it very easy for anybody to produce. So if you want to produce, be prepared to be in competition with all these other guys. But the most important thing is do the work. You have to. Don't think about being the producer. You have to actually get in the studio and do it. You can get demo programs to get you started. If you think you can make beats, go to any of the software programs. FL Studio, they let you get a demo to try it. Try out, see if you even understand the idea of music. Try it, and then you keep going, and little by little let people hear your productions. One of the major pitfalls that new DJs and artists fall into is they use their family as their feedback. Let me tell you, you can do the worst project and your wife and your kids and your family are going to tell you it's dope. You have to be able to take criticism. You have to be able to put your music out there to people who you think might not like it and get their feedback. Don't just get positive feedback. You have to get all the feedback. And it's very important just to let the people know, and don't take criticism wrong, because people will not give you correct feedback after that anymore. Hi, this is Charlie Dee Diaz, DJ, producer, and remixer, and you're watching me on stereo. Always more music.